the ghetto. I've been that way from the get-go. And I wonder.
On the 22nd of April 2020, Nigerian music lovers celebrated the 10th anniversary of the death of the indigenous rapper Dagrin'. His passing away premature and heartbreaking, still fresh in the minds of fans, colleagues, friends and family, is seen as one that could very well, under the right circumstances and management, have been avoided. In 2019, his game-changing The CEO album turned 10 years old, and in April 2020, Dagrin' could very well have been here with us to give Thanksgiving, appreciating life. But if only.
This is a dedication to a brother who lost his life in the struggle. Dagrin'.
Summarized. On the 15th of April 2010, while returning home from an engagement, Dagrin' crashed his car into a truck parked by the roadside in Mushin. He was subsequently rushed to a nearby hospital and then transferred to the Lagos University Teaching Hospital, where he would days later be pronounced dead. The long version of the story is not that simple. According to an eyewitness, Dagrin', while driving home, was stopped at a police checkpoint in Mushin. When the police officers at the checkpoint realized that it was him, he sped off, tried to avoid a big pothole on the road, and while doing so crashed into an illegally parked trailer just meters away from the Alakara police station. While it is not totally known why he tried to avoid the police, the pothole represents the corruption that exists in the government and how constructors are made to use low-quality materials because they are eventually paid far less than what is budgeted for their road construction work. The pothole represents failed promises by ruling politicians. The pothole represents a lackadaisical attitude by the government to provide amenities for its citizens. And why was the trailer parked on the roadside with no caution signs? 10 years later, and frequent night drivers would tell you that this is still a common feature on Lagos roads. They would inform you about how long trucks would ply on the major expressways in the nighttime with no rear lights, causing unnecessary accidents and loss of lives. Over 6 years after Dagrin's accident in October 2016, another entertainment industry top dog became a victim of this careless road violation as Koga boss Chris Jevibo crashed his car into a stationary trailer on his way home, dying on the spot. No lessons learned.
If I die, make you no cry for me.
With visible injuries in his chest, jaw and head, Dagrin', after the accident, was rushed by police and taken to Tai Solarin Private Hospital in Mushin before being moved to the Lagos University Teaching Hospital, Lut in Idiaraba. He was reportedly taken to the ICU in Lut and was operated on, but with doctors on strike, it is believed that Dagrin' did not receive the best treatment that he could have. There were question marks over why his record label didn't facilitate his transfer to a private or overseas hospital, but according to his management outfit, Lut refused to release Dagrin' until he was in a serious or stable condition. His fans reckoned that his reported lack of professional medical care is the reason why, even after he had come out of a coma 4 days after the accident, he still died, becoming another victim of Nigeria's poor healthcare system, so often overlooked by the government. A decade later, and no permanent solution has been put in place to improve this. Doctors are still embarking on nationwide strikes and are still underpaid and being owed salaries. The facilities are not being improved upon, as even though Nigeria produces some of the best doctors in the world, political heads, the same people in charge of improving the healthcare system, still travel overseas for healthcare treatments.
God na my curator, Fena na my mentor. Money no dey drive me, money na my conductor.
You'd expect that 10 years later the narrative would have changed, that Dagrin's death would have at least meant something, but as reported, it hasn't. The danger of another artist leaving the world like Dagrin' still exists, and we are lucky that we haven't had to report anyone just yet. Artists Terry G, Rikasani, Genie, Solomon Lange and Oshefemi are just some of the very few that have suffered what could easily have been fatal accidents but are still here with us today. The introduction of ride-hailing companies has meant that artists now have the option of not driving to and fro events, but even that service hasn't been totally efficient, as Orezi, who suffered an accident while being transported by a driver of one of the popular service providers in November 2019, would tell you. Dagrin was buried on the 30th of April 2010, and unfortunately, it was an unnecessary loss. Equally unfortunate is how his death has caused very little change and how our dear country, Nigeria, has not learned her lesson.
We sure hope you enjoyed this video. For more entertaining video content such as behind the scenes of music videos and movies, music concerts, premieres, interviews, and exclusive gists, subscribe now to our YouTube channel Goldmynetv and be unleashed into a world of super excitement.